This segment of DelmarvaLife is sponsored by TidalHealth.
You know, the funny thing about knowledge is you can study and memorize enormous amounts of information, but there is a catch. None of it matters if you can't apply that knowledge in a real life situation, right? Well, in the world of healthcare, that can mean the difference between a procedure going according to plan or complications arising, and nobody wants that. Least of all, this gentleman right here. This is Dr. Yashfir Sangwan, the Director of Procedural Training and Simulation for TidalHealth. How are you, sir?
Doing great. How are you?
Thank you so much for coming in. It's wonderful talking to you. Let me ask you this. Why is simulation training important?
So, well, for example, right now you don't even need to go to med school. If you are to gain medical knowledge, there's something called ChatGPT.
Okay.
You can Google stuff and you can get all the knowledge that is possible on a subject. So let me show you the first slide, because today morning what I did was I looked at how to fly an aeroplane. Okay.
How to fly an airplane, okay.
And everything you need for your first flight is right there. And you are an intelligent person, so I'll let you give you 5 seconds.
Might be stretching some, but
yeah,
okay. Yeah,
5 seconds.
All right.
And I'll ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
All right. Number 1, if you want the plane to go up, do you put the nose up or do you add power?
I'd say put the nose up.
Okay. It's add power.
It's add power.
It's add power.
Okay.
Okay. The second thing, if you want to turn a plane, do you use the rudder or do you put the wing down?
Yes, I would use the rudder.
You put the wing down.
I put the wing down.
Now you got 2 out of 2 now.
Okay.
Okay. In order to turn, you put the wing down,
right.
And in order to go up, you put the power in. In order to go down, you take the power off.
Uh-huh.
Got it?
Okay.
There is an actual plane in Laurel. Okay, it's on a grass strip.
Now an actual plane in Laurel, where I live, on a grass strip.
Yes, on a grass strip.
Yeah.
Okay, and now that you know how a plane turns and how a plane climbs and goes down, you can go flying and take somebody with you.
Okay, so let me back up then to the question about why it's so important to be able to create.
Yes. Do you think you will be able to bring the plane back without crashing? What are the chances?
Well, let's don't ask about the chances, but it's going to help if I have simulation, right?
Exactly, because you know the what, why, when, where, but you don't know the how. And that's the difference between a medical student and a doctor. Because a medical student will tell you how to take out the gallbladder. This is how you start. These are the sequence of steps. This is what I do it, but they have no idea of how.
Okay.
And the thing is that if you take your own plane out, you crash into a tree, it's you.
Right.
You take a gallbladder out, you mess it up, it's somebody else.
It's your patient.
It's your patient. And one of the things is that although all of these training programs eventually helps you in the sense that we have more doctors trained, we have more doctors retained, and the whole system gets better. But we don't want to let the burden of me trying to train somebody affect your dad, your mom, brother, sister, son, daughter.
Well,
that's the whole idea.
What kind of procedures, what kind of situations can you create in a simulation?
So we have, at the end of this year, we'll have about $1 million of equipment.
Wow.
In those 5 rooms.
Okay.
And we can simulate anything. We can simulate heart attacks and stents. We can simulate doing lumbar punctures, taking the fluid out of the spine of a baby. We could actually simulate giving birth and having maternal complications and emergencies, cardiac emergencies, because here's the thing. One is knowledge, and the second thing is to retrieve the knowledge and apply it. And that's what happened to JFK Jr. Ran into a cloud. At that time, no visual reference. 2 things he needed to do was 1, remember all the instructor taught about IFR flying.
And we're talking about when he was flying the plane,
actually do it.
Okay.
And that's where people fail. And the third thing is attitude. I don't know how you'll react when suddenly you have a crosswind that you were not prepared for.
Right.
But in simulation, I can make that happen, and I can correct your attitude. Like, do you freeze when stuff goes wrong?
Right.
Okay. How do you think your way out of an emergency that you have never faced before without doing it on an actual patient?
And with this simulation, you can actually train and keep better physicians.
Yes, and you can get that memory retention because suddenly there's a code in the simulation center and you are like, okay, you and you, go. and you don't know what situation you are facing, but our mannequins can lose heartbeat and can have a fast heartbeat, can have their blood pressure up and down. And we have cameras all over that not only show your reaction, but how do you start talking to the nurses? How do you do crew resource management?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
And crew resource management would be like, if you are flying with me and you have no idea about flying, I can always ask you, you know what, while I'm flying, look outside, make sure there's no plane getting bigger and bigger. Okay. So how do you use everybody in the room, and how do you take control of a situation? And then there's that scientific knowledge aspect of, so there's a big difference between knowing how to take a gallbladder out and actually doing it.
Dr. Sangwan, I could sit here and talk to you all day long about this. Thank you for Dr. Sangwan with TidalHealth, an extremely important position and wonderful things to come from it. Thank you so much for talking to us. Stick around. DelmarvaLife, we'll be right back.